Hey everybody, been a while since I posted a video. I'm getting a lot of views on my old setup video for my 22-foot Coleman pool that I had that ultimately rusted out on me after about 3 years. Could be a combination of things, as we mentioned in the video. Obviously we live in New England, so things are prone to rust. Also made it a saltwater pool, so again, that contributed to the rust. So if you watch my previous video regarding the takedown of that pool when it was all rusty, and I'll link that here in the video, you can see what ultimately came of that and what it looked like at the end, because it was pretty darn bad. So what we're left here with is the remainder of what we had at the end of last summer, which is the liner to the 22-foot pool, the tarps that I had under it, and just the same little area that I had that was set up that had the bricks, and also had the rubber mulch. It's a bit of a mess because it sat here all spring not really being taken care of. Again, and another thing that we did here, so this liner actually sat here throughout the entire winter and spring, because all we did was take the frame out and we drained the pool. At the time it was perfectly clean. Now I've had it uncovered for a day or two, so it's getting kind of crappy from the rain that we had here. But we just folded the entire liner in on itself. I covered it with the actual pool cover that I had, and put the cinder blocks all around it, so it actually kept it clean and relatively dry until this bout of a couple of days of rain. So my plan is to take this new frame that I purchased. So what I did here is I found somebody was selling a 22-foot Bestway pool. So for those of you who have done any research, you know, you've got the Intex, you've got the Coleman. Bestway is just another name brand of these pools. I don't even know 100% who makes it. But the thing that intrigued me about this particular pool, number one, was the fact that it was only a year old and they were selling it for 150 bucks, because they had realized that it was a lot more work than they had wanted to do. So figured I'll go take a look at it, because all I really needed was the frame. What I was concerned about was rust. So went and looked at it and found that amazingly there was not a lot of rust where the bars connected. So here and here, and then in the actual welds, the factory welds, because that's where my pool rusted out very quickly. I think I noticed one of the reasons why. So on these arms, the cross beams here, you can see they actually have like a rubberized insert. So my Coleman pool and most of the Intex pools that I've seen do not have that. So when you are putting, tab A into slot B, you're rubbing metal on metal. So what happens there is any sort of little scratches, any nicks that you have on there are prone to rust. So those pieces were 100%. All I had was some tiny bit of surface rust, and you can see there's a slight difference in color here. Now I wish I had taken video of that, because I was really shocked at how well it came out. All I did here was I took some sandpaper, sanded off the surface rust that was on here, and then I bought some Rust-Oleum primer and some Rust-Oleum paint. Now it's a bit more sparkly than the regular paint that's on here, but I don't care. I'm looking for function, not beauty. I'll just put this one bar on the backside anyway. You can see it's actually not that bad. And I sanded that. I did a couple of coats of primer, a couple of coats of paint, and it is as good as new. And if you ask me, probably better than new, because of the fact that I'm not so sure about the paint that they put on here and its value when it comes to rust protection. So I then did the same thing on these bars. So you can see here, at the top part here, again, a little bit different color than it is at the very bottom. Not too worried about that. So any spots that even had just the tiniest bit of surface rust. I sanded those down, a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum primer and a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum paint, and they are what I think will be better, or at least as good as new. So I'm going to start assembling the pool here, and I'll do my best to video as I go along, maybe do a time lapse, and also show you some of the steps. Be right back. All right, I pulled the tarp back here because I want to show you, give a little bit better look at what's going on under here, because when I did the video before about the ground prep and leveling, I had already assembled the entire pool, so you didn't really get a chance to see what I had done here. So again, I used a sod cutter and took out all the grass from the area. Pulled out a lot of the stones by hand, made it as smooth as I could. Again, no machinery, nothing other than just kind of leveling it by eye and making sure there was no big rocks inside there. And then put together one section of the pool, just two of the cross beams and the center pieces, and used that to judge where I needed to put the stones. And then just simply place the level from one stone to the next, like so. And check to see if it was level. Okay, so that's level, right? Started on the high side. And then placed where my next stone was going to be. Took my level, placed it on there to the next stone. Oops, something's blocking me here. Hang on. On to the next one. Level. And again, not perfectly leveled, but right there inside, you know, inside the lines. So it's basically pretty level. And then so on and so on to the next stone, to the next stone. And as long as those are all pretty reasonably level from one side to the other, you're gonna have a level pool. If not perfectly level, it'll be within an inch or two. And mine is definitely within an inch. So when I had set it up before, that's the only method that I used. I didn't use any fancy equipment. I didn't rent any sort of machinery other than a sod cutter to get the grass out, because that was easier, and leveled everything by hand. And let me tell you, it's not in any way off enough to make it dangerous with the pool. It's an inch, and they even say there's a tolerance of at least a couple of inches on these pools. Now, the ground wasn't very level to begin with. You can see that on this side, I actually had to place two stones, because this is the high side, or I guess the low side? Yeah. So multiple stones on this side, and then as I came around, I actually had to dig down a little bit for the stones to go all the way around. But again, as long as you can make those reasonably level, there is no need to go to all kinds of crazy lengths. Unless your yard is off by a foot or two on each side and you've got to do some serious digging, there is no reason you shouldn't be able to do it just like this. So all I'm doing here, I'm not changing anything that I had done. I'm going to go ahead and use the stones the way that they are, because they appear to still have not budged. And we'll see how it is at the end. So hang tight and we'll continue the video.